So last night I go to sleep and I see that we got a good lineup going into Friday. We got Concrete Boys, Glorilla, Bryson Tiller, some good albums dropping, some good singles dropping. I didn't even know what I was going to listen to first, honestly. But for some reason, I ended up waking up at 3 a.m. as if my body sensed some sort of disturbance in the atmosphere and whatnot. So I'm going through looking at my notifications, checking all the messages that I missed while I was asleep, and my group chat's hitting me up and they're like, yo, Cole just dropped. And I'm scrolling through IG and I'm seeing it everywhere that Cole just dropped. And you know, IG be yapping a lot. So all the rap blogs and fan pages are up, posting all the lyrics and posting everything that the nigga said already. And like, I can't even enjoy the project myself. So I log out of IG. But before I log off, I found out that the last song on this new Cole project is the one that's geared towards Kendrick. So naturally, that's where my brain is sort of directed at going into this. And so far I've only listened to the project once and it's cool. I can't really say I can say too much about it. Like, it was 3 a.m. like I was like half asleep listening to it. But naturally I did start to wake up and pay extra attention once I hit the last song where I knew that he was going to be saying what we all wanted to hear. So naturally, we're here to talk about this new Cole response track and talk about what is so good and not so good about it, just to piss off both fan bases, because that's what I do. The first line that I want to talk about, because it honestly is kind of, it bothers me to keep it a buck, is where Cole said if he wasn't dissing, we wouldn't be discussing him. Which is odd to me because a good portion of this beef stems from you being on first person shooter with Drake, and that being on Drake's most recent album, For All the Dogs, where Drake was sneak dissing everybody he possibly could throughout the fucking album. This nigga Drake throughout his entire last project was throwing subliminals at Pusha T, Rihanna, some girl named Haley that ruined his Bahamas trip. Hell, he even fucking shat on Esperanza Spalding or whoever the fuck. Drake, your friend, your mans, has built his career and a lot of his albums off of talking about other niggas that he's been mad at for the past decade. But you saying that people wouldn't be talking about Kendrick if he wasn't dissing people, while your man's, that's all he fucking does. I don't get it. Don't get me wrong, I do still feel like there is some validity to the statement that if he wasn't dissing, we wouldn't be discussing him, because the song did end up going #1, and it wasn't necessarily the best song on that Metro and Future project. But if we're keeping it a buck, it's Kendrick, Future, and Metro on a song. The shit was gonna go #1 regardless. Not to mention 5 of those songs on that album ended up charting in the top 10. So like, what are we talking about? But I'm not here to just shit on J. Cole for all the stuff that he said and how I feel about the song or whatever. There are some valid points that he did end up making. The line where he said that Kendrick be dropping like one verse every 30 months. Even though as a Kendrick fan, I do think Kendrick is legitimately just better than both of these niggas. I do understand where Cole is coming from. Like, yo, you just be popping your head whenever you fucking feel like it just to talk about other niggas. Like, what are you doing? But here is where I really have my point of contingency. I think I'm using that term correctly. I gotta talk to you, Mr. Cole.
Jermaine.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
So Cole did the whole discography breakdown the same way that Jay-Z did to Nas in the song Takeover, I believe. And Cole was like, you have 4 albums in the last 12 years, I can divide, something like that. Now, a very fair and legitimate critique of Kendrick Lamar is the lack of albums that he has dropped within, I guess you could deem, his prime. But it's like the other things that he also said about said albums is where I'm like, Cole, you just gotta stop. He said your first shit was a classic, your last shit was tragic, referring to Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. And yes, I know a lot of people did have mixed feelings about Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers for a multitude of reasons, but I know for me personally, as a avid therapy denier and a nigga with daddy issues, and I guess the album just hit a little harder for me than it did other people. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But when he said your second album put niggas to sleep.
Jermaine.
Yeah.
Cole.
Yes.
For one, I saw people debating whether he was talking about Good Kid, Mad City or To Pimp a Butterfly, and I'm fairly certain that he was talking about the latter. 2, To Pimp a Butterfly is one of the best hip-hop albums ever, and it's better than any hip-hop album that J. Cole or Drake has ever put out. 3, J. Cole, of all people, telling anybody that their album is putting people to sleep.
Jermaine.
Yeah.
Cole.
Yes.
All in all, as far as that disc goes, that's like the main stuff that's worth dissecting. I mean, he did say some shit about Kendrick being short, but I mean, okay. And ultimately, this video isn't even for me to be going crazy on Cole and stuff because, like, obviously, this isn't like a full on fledged diss. This was more so like a warning shot. And I will say that I'm legitimately pleased with the fact that he at least did that instead of crashing out on stage and making all these zesty captions and having your dad talk for you. But yeah, that's all I really got for that. I had other videos that I had planned on recording today, but I mean, I guess this kind of pushed those back a little bit. But things will be coming out within the next few days. So if you want to see those said videos and see what I'm talking about, because there's still a lot of stuff that I want to talk about, at least music wise, go ahead and subscribe and leave a like on this video if you liked it, or if you didn't, just help me out. And leave a comment. Let's have a little discussion about how y'all are feeling about this song. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? I'm so unoriginal. I'm sorry. Yeah. Peace. Outro.
Two things I ain't ever seen. A nigga that beat a gun.